Hello, ghouls and goblins. Nick here. Hope everyone's doing well today. I am back with another book review. We are continuing on with the Bone Chiller books. We are up to book 7 now, and it is the only book in the Bone Chiller series to get a sequel. That is Frankenturkey 2. Alright, so the Frankenturkey sequel is pretty interesting, I will say. I do love the character of Frankenturkey. I think it's hilarious. When turkeys are they can be very ornery creatures as it is. Before we go into book and details into it, I want to discuss the wonderful cover art. Here we have Frankenturkey again. He has got the the electricity going through his Frankenstein bolts. Very fitting. In the book, he actually doesn't have those bolts, but again, just going with the whole Frankenstein vibe. Tim Jacobus just did such a good job making his skin just look so creepy, and of course his eye and that beak, so great. I love the touch up here of this helmet. I think that's pretty funny, shocking him to life there. Just how, his neck and everything. The background, you got some blue looking feathers. I think just to contrast well with the red skin here, he did like a blue, like shadowed background with the feathers. Very clever. We are continuing on with like the more autumn color theme, like would be during Thanksgiving time with the orange. Of course, that blue is the perfect contrast to that. He's back, and he'd love to have you for Thanksgiving dinner. I don't really read the blurbs too much on the back, but trying to get in a better habit of that and read this one to you. There is a special new turkey in the pen behind Annie and Kyle's house. Whenever they are near him, all their wishes come true. But Kyle and Annie don't know that Frankenturkey has returned from the grave, and he's making wishes too. Frankenturkey's meaner than ever. He wants revenge. And if it's his holiday wish to come true, Kyle really will be stuffed this Thanksgiving. So the blurb pretty much explains the gist of the story. We have our turning characters of Annie and Kyle. In the first book, Kyle is the protagonist. It is from his point of view. And of course, Annie is kind of like a secondary character. But in this book, it is from Annie's perspective. I will say Kyle in this book is just so much, he's a jerk pretty much. I don't know if it's because he's hanging out with Jake now, who was the bully in the first book, turned Kyle's friend at the end. And now in this book, him and Jake are good pals and hanging out. But this takes place 1 year after Thanksgiving. Frankenturkey was brought to life. This one is a very interesting concept. It uses the concept of the wishbone, which is a leftover bone from the turkey. Additionally, you would break and make a wish, fun kind of thing there. And they happen to have it still, the turkey's wishbone. The story is kind of sad. Starts off friendly turkey that they had originally, or their parents had went and took them and originally bought to be fattened up and eaten for Thanksgiving dinner last year, that they tried to save gobbledygook. He has unfortunately perished. He went and escaped his pen, and he was hit by a car, which is really sad. But so Annie's very torn up about this, of course. This, I guess, happened kind of recently during this Thanksgiving time. I like that book keeps the continuation of the same characters, the same kind of environment. So going back to the wishbone, they find it in a toy box. They're like, oh, that was Frankenturkey's wishbone. So Of course, they're relieved that that whole ordeal is over, that they don't have to deal with him anymore, because that happened last year. Find his wishbone, and so whoever, between the two that break it, pull it apart, whoever gets the larger half is the one whose wish will supposedly come true. So, of course, they both take their respective end of the wishbone and they pull it, but it's a perfect divide. So now they're like, neither of our wishes will come true, kind of thing. But there's actually some evil magic going on in the wishbone. Kyle's wish was he wanted his friend Jake to be here. And then Annie's wish was she wanted Gobbledygook to come back from the dead, basically. And lo and behold, after they do it, the wish does come true for Kyle. And his friend Jake comes back. And then soon, Annie's comes true, and Gobbledygook is back from the grave. Or so we think he's come back from the grave. So when he returns, and this book is very interesting, Gobbledygook is like a zombie, and it actually is pretty creepy. He doesn't have eyes, and he's got like a loose wing, and anyway, he looks like a zombie turkey, basically. He's just come from the grave where he was buried, and he's, functioning and being sweet to Annie. And of course, he smells like death too. And so throughout the story, he progressively gets better. And then eventually he's back to his own normal self, but there's something not quite right about him. He doesn't seem exactly the same. And I do like in the story, kind of like, how he has, his eyes form back and things like that. But what happens is, they start saying stuff like, I wish this, I wish that, kind of thing. And their wishes start to come true. Kind of like with a genie, but in an evil way. It gets so bad that what happens is Annie gets really mad, and because of like the influence of Frankenturkey's power and the wishbone, she wishes something along the lines of Kyle to be the Thanksgiving dinner. Which is just really silly. And of course, kind of like the last half of the book. Sorry, my cat's playing with her ball, if you hear that noise. So the second half of the book, the family is under this spell, and they want to eat Kyle for dinner, and they're feeding him all this junk to fatten him up. And it is very silly, but it is a very terrifying thing to think about. And just crazy that these people are gonna eat their child and chop his head off like a turkey. And it's funny because, like, in the book, their dad, who works at a bank, is going to his job, and of course, going back to the wishes. Anytime they say, "I wish this," it comes true. He said, "Man, I wish I didn't have to go to this job, this bank job." And lo and behold, his bank shut down. He's out of work, and it's hard times. So that's why they have to eat Kyle. Just so crazy. But eventually, Annie figures out that it's not Gobbledygook we're dealing with. It is Frankenturkey. Spirit has inhabited the reanimated corpse of Gobbledygook. He is getting his revenge, and they're going to have them eat Kyle now, basically. But at the end, they return to sort of this cave area in the woods, and she teams up with his friend Jake, who's not under the spell just yet, thankfully. They try and trap Gobbledygook, but, they get him trapped in the cave. His influence is so strong that, he makes, Annie or Jake wish that he would be free from the cave. So he, of course, a very big threat. At the end, with Jake's family coming over and them all under the spell, Frankenturkey, they are totally going to go through chopping his head off and having him. Though, luckily, Annie's able to delay it because, like, oh, well, we can't store him properly and something like that. And their dad's like, yep, that's true. I guess we'll have to wait to cut your head off tomorrow, Kyle, and then put you in the oven because you couldn't fit properly or something. But so she goes to the pen to confront Frankenturkey. Turns out that in this book, the power of love saves the day, fighting back against the evil spirit of Frankenturkey and doesn't want this to happen. And so it's very interesting, like the wishbone, it comes out of the turkey's chest somehow a little bit, and then here comes like its beating heart, and it gets bigger and bigger. It kind of reminds you of that scene from How This Grinch Stole Christmas, how his heart grew in 3 sizes, and it kind of breaks that little frame, when he becomes, nice. As a heart, it expands, it breaks the wishbone, the evil Frankenturkey wishbone, and it says, blood just kind of gushes out, and it's kind of graphic, really. And so, with the power of love, Gobbledygook was able to take his body back over very briefly, and give Annie, a final, I love you too kind of sigh, before ultimately dying again, and therefore, breaking the curse of the spell. So kind of a crazy way to end it. But it was quite a book. I mean, it's decent enough. The very interesting parts to me are, of course, the family wanting to go through just kind of that image of them wanting to eat Kyle, and I think with the turkey too, with the heart exploding. I think that's very interesting. I did think the wishbone concept was very clever, because like you're not gonna keep a turkey in any other way otherwise, besides with the wishbone that just so happened didn't get broken. So I thought that was a pretty clever way to bring in a sequel and to bring that continuation back. Not too shabby there. I do love the dog in this book, Trigger. I think he's very funny. But yeah, Frankenturkey, is definitely meant to be, I think, on the more silly side too, even though it is one of the most evil monsters we've encountered in the Bone Chiller series. I do love its absurdity. And so I think I gave the first book like a 6 or 7. I'd probably give this one, a 7 too. I can't say I absolutely hate it. If you've read Frankenturkey 2 or the first book, either one, what do you think of this one? What do you think of Frankenturkey in general? I look forward to reading the next book in the series here soon and reviewing it. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. All right. Bye-bye.